And are you refreshed? Good. The impossible, which is give upon your desire. Never do that. And every, or nearly every, mega business had stumbling blocks in the beginning, which focused the desire stronger and stronger. Limp desire doesn't make mega businesses. Strong desire does. And strong desire doesn't come from things just happening just the way you want it. Strong desire comes from fine-tuning, from resetting yourself, from reestablishing your intentions, of restaking your claim. Refreshed. Good. Now what?
Very new to this, about 2 months, third workshop, did all your California workshops so far, and I manifested a beautiful red car. I haven't had a car in 3.5 years, and I was scared to do it the night before, and I was reading one of your books, and I landed on a paragraph that said, "You say you want the red car, but you're afraid of the red car." And I wanted a red car. They were trying to get me into a blue one, and I wanted a red one. And they got it the next day, and I said, if it's meant to be, make it easy. And it showed up. And it's my vortex, my moving vortex. Thank you.
We like the story. We just want to add one little piece of clarification. If you want it to be, it's meant to be. Because you create your own reality. So don't put it off on somebody else. If you want it to be. And if it isn't easy, it's because you're not letting it be easy. If it's meant to be, make it easy. Think about it another way of saying that. Since whatever I want, I can have, how can I make this easy on myself? And the answer to that is always, believe it. But see how helpful the universe is to just keep coaxing you along in your belief? Isn't that a nice thing?
What's difficult for me in what you're saying is I come from a 12-step program that led me to believe that if it's not easy, let it go. Surrender it. And so if you're fighting against something,
But what is different in what we are saying to you? We're saying, let go of your resistance. And in the absence of resistance, there is ease. And then what you want does come easily.
I must have a belief that what I want, I can't necessarily have. I don't know.
But we think it's a good thing that you were saying, let it come easily. You're asking for ease. You want to give up struggle. But we want you to know that in the first segment of this day, we made a very strong case for the advantage of just giving up the struggle. There's just no reason for it. It's self-imposed every time, and it's you working against you. And once you get that, then things do get easier. One more thing. You've inspired us to say this. This is a really good thing. You're going to like this. So we talk a lot about the path of least resistance, and what we mean is your inner being knows where you stand in terms of manifestation and emotion, vibration, in relationship to everything you want, meaning everything that's in your vortex. Your inner being knows where you are in relationship to all of it, and your inner being knows the path of least resistance. So what that means is your inner being, in its complete, absolute love for you, takes into consideration every belief that you have that is in your way and still leads you around those beliefs to what you want. Don't you like knowing that? Your inner being isn't saying, clean it up and then we'll talk. Your inner being is saying, you are where you are, what you want is what you want, and with all of this in consideration, this is the path of least resistance. This is your path of least resistance or most allowance around your resistance, which is just fine. Feel that. So that means the more you can trust that your inner being knows where you want to be, and trust that your inner being knows where you are and isn't mad at you, and trust that your inner being knows where you are and isn't holding it against you, and so therefore isn't making it more difficult, that 100% of the time your inner being is making it as easy as you will let it be. But your inner being cannot believe for you. Your inner being can only know what your inner being knows. And in time, you can show yourself that you know it too.
much as I've enjoyed and really loved so many pieces of it, it's a dog treat business, but I love the photo shoots and the Instagram and all the pieces of it. The needle on the sales won't move. $500,000 has been put into this business, and the needle on the bags won't move. And I'm having a Kickstarter next month, which is my last idea to save this business that means so much to me, but I don't understand why I'm learning and I'm enjoying and I'm growing.
But you see, you're not only doing that, you're doing both. You love this and you don't love that. You said some really powerful things to us about beliefs. Your belief is that the needle won't move. You're a wise woman. The reason that you believe it is because you're watching it. You're not making it up. You're watching it, and therefore you believe it, and therefore you can't get past it. And it's a lot to ask somebody to not believe what is. We're not saying don't believe it, because it is. We're not saying don't believe it because the accountants will back it up with their figures. We're not saying don't believe it. We're saying don't give your attention to beliefs that hurt you when you give your attention to beliefs that hurt you. Don't give your attention to beliefs that hurt you when you give your attention to beliefs that hurt you. We're saying don't give your attention to beliefs that hurt you. We're saying there's no value in giving your attention to a belief that hurts you. We're saying there's no value in giving your attention to something that is true that you don't want. Because every time you give your attention to something that's true that you don't want, you practice the vibration of it and you don't let it be easy. And then the needle won't move. The needle won't move because your beliefs don't move. And your beliefs don't move because you keep looking at what is. What is keeps holding you right where you are because you've got your attention upon right where you are, because that's what humans do. You face reality. But you are a new breed of humans. Maybe you don't want to face as much reality as you want to create a new reality. So we're not saying don't believe it. We're just saying don't keep that belief active. Replace that belief that hurts you with other beliefs that don't hurt you. Like these dog treats are really, really good. And like this is really, really fun. And like I'm really, really good at so many aspects of this. And like this was a really big dream, and this is a really right time for it, because never before in all of the universe has there been a time when more people were more in love with more dogs. There's just never been a better time for that. Those beliefs are also factual and true, and they don't hurt when you focus upon them. They don't feel bad to you because they don't get you cross-current of you see.
Honest to God, they are my beliefs. It is the best dog treat in the entire world.
We know that.
And it's also the most expensive one, and I feel, but isn't it possible that that it's just not a great business idea? Isn't it possible that I'm barking up the wrong tree?
Well, you're not going to get us to ever admit that you can't have everything that you want. These are the things that aren't possible. It's not possible for an idea to be so wrong that it can't come about. It's possible that you hold beliefs that are in your way. Esther had an interesting experience. She has a new house in San Antonio, and everything about it's wonderful, or most everything. But one thing that was a little stumbling thing is when they went to turn the fire feature on the pool, it made a howling sound in the house. And the man looked at her like, "Can you live with that?" And she looked at him like, "Are you an idiot?" She didn't say anything like that. She smiled as she thought really bad things. And so then she said, "Well, let's turn the fire feature off. Let's just turn the pool heater on." Still howled. So not only does the fire feature make it howl, but the water being horn makes it howl too. So after some conversation with a lot of people, the utility company and the plumbers that installed the gas line and the builders who are the main contractors and the owner of the company that built the house, it was concluded that the remedy is to put in a new gas line, which requires disassembling the house to some degree. So Esther was not really very happy about that idea, but understood. And so as they talked, they figured out how they can go up through the garage and make a big hole in the ceiling of the garage. And that's all right with Esther because it's in the garage and they'll fix it. You'll never know. And then go through the attic, which is all right because she doesn't live up there hardly at all. And then they'll come down the outside of the house and make a big mess on the outside of the house, but then they'll put it back and you'll never know. So So the disruption to Esther is not going to be that great. This is the path of least resistance for their screw-up. So, as Esther got thinking about it, she got very philosophical about it and very Abrahamish about it. As she thought, my house and its things, my water heaters and my range and my fireplaces and my fire feature and my pool and its heater are asking for more than the supply can give. I have more desire than belief. The fact that that pool, that house was asking for more than that system could provide, Esther doesn't take anything that happens in her life experience as just a funny fluke. She owns it all. She knows that something about that is information for her. I've got a bigger desire than I have a supply. Oh, where have I heard that before? As she thought back about all the conversations about open your valve, open your valve, open your valve, and let the energy that creates the world flow through. So there's nothing wrong with coming to an awareness that you have a desire that is one thing and a belief that is another. Life's going to constantly promote a new desire within you that you're not up to speed with in the beginning. That's always going to be the way that it is. But when you give up or try, you can't do it. What you said is it possible that I should let this desire go? No! That's never the answer. Get more gas. Get more gas. Do whatever it takes to get bigger pipes. Do whatever it takes to get a bigger belief. Do whatever it takes to improve the flow. Because here's what the other alternative is. The other alternative is such shortage consciousness that it cannot abide in your vibration. Such shortage consciousness that, is it possible that I'm wanting more than the universe is willing to provide for me? No! Never! That's why you were born into this physical experience, to ask for more and more and more and more and more. You are out here on the leading edge to ask of the universe, to demand of the universe, to expect of the universe that it can deliver as much fuel as is needed for the desires that this time-space reality can produce in you. See? So the answer is never, ever, 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 ever say, oh, never mind, just cap off the fire feature, I don't mind. I can bathe in a hot tub, and I hardly ever get in the pool anyway, and hot pool makes steam sometimes, and that's not pleasant. I don't want to create my own cloud atmosphere out there. Anything that doesn't work, just cap it off and let's call it a day. No! Make every single thing work. Make it all work. Make it all work. Make it all work and make it all work the way you want it to be. Because the universe has the power to give it to you. Why would you settle for less? And you know what? You're the only one who's got your hands on the valve. It's only you. It's only you. So it's only your bogus thoughts about your business that are making you not let the needle move. That's all. Don't give the credit or the power to anybody else. And the best thing is, when something doesn't go right, you know what it does? Makes you want it to go right more. Esther has never, ever thought so much about gas in her house, in her life. It never even occurred to her that this was a thing. It's making her wonder what other fire features she might want. Because now she has a high-pressure line into her house and a mega meter from the street. They brought her the biggest gas meter that's ever been installed in a neighborhood. And so she's thinking, oh, gas to spare. What might I light? Maybe I'll light up the sky. There are no limits. And so don't be hard on yourself. We are not being hard on yourself. But you've got some beliefs that are in the way. A strong enough desire will blast beliefs that are in the way out of the way. But that wasn't what your tendency was just now. You were leaning in the direction of trying to do the impossible, which is give up on your desire. Never do that. And every, or nearly every, mega business had stumbling blocks in the beginning, which focused the desire stronger and stronger. Limp desire doesn't make mega businesses. Strong desire does. And strong desire doesn't come from things just happening just the way you want it. Strong desire comes from fine-tuning, from resetting yourself, from reestablishing your intentions, of restaking your claim.
So I have been thinking about thoughts and feeling.
They think about you too.
And that's what has my curiosity. Because as you think about thoughts and the thoughts we have here and now with what's manifest, and then there are the thoughts that you have when you meditate, which are inspired. Talk to me about that. Is there a difference in them?
Well, the difference in thought worth talking about, rather than the subject of the thought, which is sort of those piles that humans want to make. The difference in thoughts, or thought piles, let's say, is how much alignment there is with the way source energy is thinking about the thought. Because when you hook into a thought through the lens of source energy, it is a much more dynamic, meaning much more momentum, meaning much more powerful, meaning in physical terms, much more productive thought. That's what we've meant, as we've said for years, that one who's tuned in, tapped in, turned on is more powerful than millions who are not. It's not your numbers, it's not anything other than the power of the thought that is active within you, and the activation of that thought now being your point of attraction, and your point of attraction being everything that matters. So when you think thoughts in the way that your inner being thinks thoughts, the collective nature of that resonance between you and your inner being, and the law of attraction's response to both of you at the same place in the same time, makes for a much more powerful, emphatic, obvious experience that you can track. In other words, you can make the correlation between the thought and what comes next.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, I've had that experience where all of a sudden it's just huge. You just feel it go like this.
There's lots of descriptive words that humans use. The light dawned, the earth opened, the skies parted, I saw the light.
So you've also said the term that once a thought keeps thinking. So
once you think a thought, which is your attention to it, when you activate it in you, then because of law of attraction, the thought is now activated too. So now you and the thought are more activated, which makes both of you have more attraction power. And so the way we've been describing that is when you think a thought, now the thought thinks. But the more accurate description would be when a thought vibrates within you, you influence the vibration of that thought within itself. Another way of saying it.
So the thought is out there, and kind of using your analogy of the receiver, am I lining up with that thought, or am I getting getting a glimpse of it with some of the contrast that I'm experiencing? And
every thought that has ever been thought still exists. And a thought is where you last left it. So when you think a thought from your ever-changing vantage point, that thought evolves as has your vantage point. Earlier when we said this is what the evolution of all species is about, this is what the evolution of all thought is about. This is the evolution of all evolution, what motion forward is.
so it's the apparatus of our mind. When you think about meditation and kind of, as I think about
But your mind, your brain, is a focusing mechanism. All right, let's have some fun. In the same way that a lot of you today really felt resonance, you accepted the premise that there's you, an extension of source energy, and your point of attraction, and there's your inner being, and your inner being's point of attraction. And now we've just acknowledged that when you are focused upon something in the way your inner being is, which means you feel great, and you have great clarity, that now your attraction power is really enhanced by multiples that we can't even accurately describe. It depends on the power of the desire, and if the desire is relatively strong and there's no resistance, then there's a huge influence in that. Your attraction power is really, 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 really strong. So you've got that.
Yeah.
So now there's you and your brain, and there's your inner being and your inner being's infinite intelligence. Let's say it again. There's you and your brain, and there's your inner being and its consciousness. Now, we could talk about you and your consciousness, but that's not where you wanted to take this subject. You wanted to make it about you and your brain. Well, we'll make it about you and your brain, or we'll make it about you and your consciousness. But you and your consciousness, or you and your brain, you're doing whatever you're doing, but your inner being and its consciousness, ho, ho, ho. So when you bring your sort of where you were going.
It is where I was going, because the consciousness, my consciousness piece is exactly right. And when I think about the meditative process, it's almost, for me, of like a conditioning of the brain or a training of the brain to allow that consciousness to really
Perfect
flow.
words. It is a training of the brain to allow this blending and greater consciousness.
Yeah.
And so some might say, oh, meditation is really hard for me because I can't quiet my mind. And then we always say, when you say that, well, you've trained your brain to be responsive to life, and so we get how it's sort of hard to slow that down. And you then sometimes say, well, it's a sacrifice that I'm really not willing to make. And we say, we get it, that you might feel like you're sacrificing some human consciousness, but when you realize that by quieting the resistance of human consciousness and allowing the fullness of infinite intelligence in a moment, it's a very small sacrifice.
I agree.
And we're not asking you to give up who you are. We're asking you to reclaim who you are. And it's not just the who you were when you first got here, it's the who you've become because you've been here.
Yeah. And I can feel that when I get to that point where I feel the clarity I think that you described. When I feel that, I can feel my consciousness, and I just feel more complete.
Well, one of the reasons that it's a feeling sensation is that when you are resistance-free and you are allowing your consciousness, which you want to call your brain, some do, to join with infinite consciousness or the consciousness of infinite intelligence, you've opened the intelligence of all of the cells of your body to that intelligence. And when there's nothing in the way of that communication, you feel enlivened, and you are experiencing what true thriving is. And by true thriving, we would like to identify that as perfect communication between infinite intelligence and the consciousness of cells. Talk about positive expectation. Talk about renewal. Talk about rejuvenation. Talk about refreshment. That's why meditation has the potential of being so refreshing, because it is a time of truly refreshing you right to the very finite details of your physical apparatus. And your cells are much less resistant in nature than your, what you want to call brain. Your cells, when you have a negative belief about your body, the individual cells aren't having any of it. They don't all get together and say, well, here's the company line here. Here's what's come down from headquarters. We're not thriving under these conditions. Your cells don't have that kind of communication. Your cells are, first and foremost, they are so easily influenced by source energy. And if you're not in the way, then they are so easily influenced by source energy.
Can we take this a little bit further?
Yep.
And talk about this?
Can you hear?
That's good. So when you think about, my consciousness and getting blended with my infinite consciousness there, and then using that to inspire people, just like the previous conversation, inspiring the math class. And so holding that throughout the day is the best way to do that? And
well, holding it throughout the day gives you this advantage. You just practice it more. But it will be available to you at any moment that you ask for it. That's what our friend meant. She didn't want to set any strong standards. That's what we meant when we said, we're always there to meet you, and any time that you get there, and the more often you are there, then the more you will expect to be there. Esther has had the experience of standing before you for so long, so many years, that she could meet someone in the hallway and receive very bad news. And she could be in her perch getting ready to come out, and she could be relaxed in a meditative state, and she could hit the stage in alignment that would be unaffected by what happened in the hallway, because her expectation is such. When Jerry made his transition and she was suffering so much sadness about him not being there, she said to her friends, it's really interesting to me that the weirdest part of my life is now the only normal part of my life. Because what felt normal to her was standing hear like this and Abraham flowing through. And it was really the only real relief that she had too, because there was no resistance during that time. For a while, she thought about just getting you to come with her everywhere and we'll just keep Abraham going here and
Yeah. So just taking pauses throughout the day to allow that to
and
flow.
expect that it's
Yeah.
there for you anytime you want it, and be wise about it. Don't get so far away from it that you can't get back to it. But once you get there easily, it's always easy to get back. Then you know what happens under those conditions? We like that discussion. Now you are living a more step 5 life. Step 1 is ask. Contrast helps you do that. Step 2 is not your work, source answers. Step 3 is your work. You get into alignment so that you're in the receptive mode. Step 4 is you're really good at that. That's what you're talking about. You're really good at that. You practice it enough that it's easy for you to get there. And the mastery of step 3 is what step 4 is. And then step 5 is now you're no longer afraid of contrast because you're not putting that impossible responsibility on yourself. You're not saying, I'm going to get there and I'm always going to stay right there. Instead, you're saying, I get there often. I know what it feels when I am there. I know what it feels when I'm not there. I prefer to be there. I can get there easily. And so now you're ready to consciously embrace the world with all of its ebbs and flows and flaws and wonderments. And you don't feel guarded about it because you know that you've got this infinite intelligence that's always right there and that you can hook into it anytime you want. But sometimes once you first begin this work, you'll say to us, Abraham, I've been meditating and I've been applying stuff and I'm getting pretty good at it, but those people at work are so negative. And I'm worried about their influence on me. And we always say we like it when you bump up against resistance after having tasted the sweetness of no resistance, because now you can make some choices. And now and only then are you willing to make different choices. Instead of choosing which pile you believe, you're choosing alignment or not. And once that starts being the decision that you're making and you're choosing alignment more and more and more, now the piles are all your friends. Now none of those piles freak you out. You're not guarded or afraid of any of them because you know none of them can assert themselves into your experience. And you know there's a lot of good stuff in every one of those piles too.
So true.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
That's great. Perfect.
It is really good.
Thank you.
So, here's some basics and then off we'll go. The law of attraction is the powerful law that acknowledges the vibrational frequencies of all things, physical and not, and by not we mean things that you can't translate through your physical senses. You can't see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it, but it's still there. The law of attraction manages all vibrational frequencies. It's the reason that when you tune your radio dial to a certain station, you hear what that station is broadcasting. Because the broadcast frequency and the receiving frequency of your receiver are set at the same place. So you're that way with everything in the universe. Every person, every thought, every idea, every aspect of everything has a frequency. And when you focus into being and add emphasis to, sort of solidify a frequency. And when you do that, things that match that frequency then show up in your experience. It's the law of attraction. There's no law of assertion. No one can assert into your experience. But sometimes you think they are because you're giving them and what they think your attention. But it's your attention to them that is the attracting factor. They're not asserting anything into your experience. So when you finally get that, then you might want to start practicing what you're offering vibrationally. Recently, Esther got something from someone that she didn't really want to get from that person. And she didn't expect to get it from that person because she thought she had trained that person to be different than that. So when she got that from that person, it shook her up because it made her realize that years and years of training had done nothing. Sort of a feeling of futility. And then, as she was in bed that night, she was thinking about it, and she wasn't really blameful toward that person as much as she was unhappy about how things had been going. And then a very clear thought in response to her finally very clear question came into her mind. And the thought was, hold the phone, wait a minute, there is no law of assertion, it's all attraction. So that means that person didn't assert anything into my experience, I attracted it. Oh crap. That again. Abraham, I'm getting pretty tired of being responsible for each and everything that happens to me. And can't somebody else take responsibility for anything? Well, maybe they can, but it's not up to you to demand it, and every time you try, you get out of whack. So Esther concluded, after thrashing about for a few hours in the night, if there really is attraction, then I did attract this. And then she realized that she was trying to control with her words while she was attracting something different. In other words, if I'm getting this, I must be expecting it. I must be expecting that. So I'm using words that say things like, I love you, when my vibration is, you're letting me down again. Abraham, what if somebody really is letting you down? Then you're facing reality, not changing it. But Abraham, when does somebody else get some responsibility in this co-creative dance? Every single minute and every single day, everybody else has responsibility too, just nothing that you can do anything about with your words. Have you noticed how people don't behave? Oh, sometimes you can be strong enough with them, you can offer enough threats that they'll pretend to behave, but they're not really behaving, and the universe will keep showing you their lack of behaving, their lack of response to your words. So, finally, you have to own it, that you attracted that even though you didn't want it. So, the way you feel is about your own push-pull. My words say I love you, my vibration says you're letting me down. My words say you're doing a really good job, my vibration says, oh, you could do so much better. My words say everything in my world is perfect. My vibration says, what am I going to do with you? You see what we're getting at? If there's anything that's wonky in your vibration, and there is, and it's okay. If there's anything that's wonky in your vibration, this is what we're wanting to say to you. It hasn't got anything to do with anybody else. What's wonky in your vibration is your own push-pull. And at the heart of it is that you, we love you so much, bless your heart, you have come to the belief that you can control things with words. So you say things that you want to believe that you don't believe, but the universe always brings you exactly what you believe. Always. So bless the others for helping you know where your weak spots are, where your not believing about what you want spots are. Have we put you into a state of depression? Because most of you would choose blame over self-introspection. It is a simpler thing to say, wait a minute, I didn't feel this way until I engaged with you about this. And since I didn't feel this way until I engaged with you about this, then it must be you. But it never is. It never, ever, 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 ever. This is going to take a while. Ever, ever. We're talking about each thing you got going on. Ever, 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 ever. Ever, 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 ever. It never, ever, ever, never, ever, it never, ever, never, ever, never, ever, never, ever, never, ever, never, ever. It never, ever, 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 ever is about them. It always is about you. You, only you, only you, about what you prefer about this and that and this and that. You launch these rockets of desire, and your inner being rides those rockets and becomes vibrationally equivalent with the things that you have sifted from life and ascertained that you prefer. So your inner being always stays on the precise leading edge of what your life has brought you to become. And so the thing that you need to understand is that your life has caused you to become vibrationally more than you have caught up with, but your inner being is always out there on that leading edge with what you have become, which gives you the opportunity to use your emotional guidance system to catch up with what you have become. But instead of paying attention to what your inner being knows, which means feel your way to your path of least resistance, on your path of least resistance to what your inner being knows about who you have become, instead you so often look to another human who is so, in comparison with what we've just said to you, completely and utterly detached. And for you to use anything else as your guidance about where you are, when there's your inner being with you every step of the way, knows what you mean, knows what you saw, knows what you meant, knows what you launched, knows who you've become vibrationally, and stands there beaming a signal of who you are and what you want, which is the signal that when you come into alignment with it, you're going to feel frisky and full and fun and clear and empowered and in love. And instead, you look to a human who could care less. You don't bring me flowers anymore. And so, once you decide to establish a conscious relationship between you and your inner being, which means you decide to care about how you feel and own it when you don't feel good, and acknowledge that you not feeling good is about the push-pull in you, you're going to improve every relationship you have because you're going to let them all off the hook. Can you imagine being up close and personal with someone, an employer or a lover or a parent or a child, anyone, a friend, having a relationship with someone who just wants to love you and isn't demanding anything from you to shore them up? They've already found out how to be whole, and now they are wholly living happily ever after and expecting you to do the same. And there's no competition, there's no power struggle, there's no game playing, there's no you are diminishing me, there's none of that stuff that never was anyway. That was always your disagreement with your inner being. Every time you act like, every time you present yourself as someone who is needy, you get crossways of your inner being who knows you aren't. That's like your inner being standing with a basket of everything you've ever asked for, and you pretending like the basket doesn't exist because your friend won't give you anything. And we say you're looking for your stuff in all the wrong places. You're looking for love in all the wrong places. You're looking for clarity in all the wrong places. Now, have we talked you into being antisocial? That wasn't our goal. We just want you to hook up with who you are and then play with each other. Instead of looking for something that isn't there, and when you don't find it, then you're in a funk. Look for it where it is and find it, and then go play with others who have found it too. And when you look for connection and find it, you'll find others who have looked for it and found it, and then you'll be like this crowd here today. In other words, that's what this is really about. Oh, you're not all there, and you're not all there every time. Esther's not there all the time either. But we say for sure about Esther, when she's not there, she knows it. And when she's not there, she's not going to blame you for her not being there. And now we're wanting to help her not blame her for not being there either. It's okay to not be there. How can you be somewhere that you don't even know there's a place to be? How do you even know that you want it until you don't have it? Isn't that the process of life? Isn't that what the evolution and expansion of life is? We're just giving you a few quick start tips. Tune in, then play. So, now you know everything that we know. What do you want to talk about specifically? Some good stuff. Ooh, there's a lot of trouble in this room.
But my question is the alignment part of me. I probably just block. That's my question: is how am I blocking the answers?
Well, blocking. This is. We've already had the conversation. Did you hear it?
Yes.
because that's like setting your radio dial to a station you don't want to hear and claiming that you're blocking the station you do want to hear. And we say, well, it's pretty obvious you're blocking it by not tuning to the frequency that you want to hear. So then the question is, well, how do I tune to the frequency? And the answer really is go general. So we'll demonstrate this together. So what is it? What answer are you looking for that feels blocked?
Okay. I'm an energy worker, and the energy I specifically like to use is called Reiki, but now that I've been doing it for so long, there's everybody else saying, well, this is this energy, and that's that energy, and this is this, and I feel at this point that it's all the same, right? There's not a specific, I do Reiki, I do whatever, this kind of, I mean, when I'm working with somebody energetically, it's just source, right?
It is source, and it is, when you're working with someone, they're already summoning the energy.
Right.
And so sometimes if it feels like the energy is blocked, it only means they've come to you because something is out of whack and they're wanting your influence to set it into a more allowing state. So, but when you say blocking, what specifically do you mean?
I guess trusting that that I trust my own answer, that I believe that when I'm opened up to channel any kind of energy work, that I believe that there isn't a difference anymore. I believe.
Well, it doesn't matter what you call it,
Yeah,
you see. And when we
exactly.
talk about allowing, so let's say, as you often do, that you've meditated, and because you've been working with this energy for a while, you know what it feels like. You can feel when it's flowing. You can feel when it's flowing to you and through you, and you can feel when whoever you're working with is allowing it to flow further. In other words, you've had enough experience with this that you viscerally know what the feeling of energy flowing feels like, don't you?
Yeah.
So, don't you?
Yes.
So when it feels like it's not flowing for whatever reason, rather than jumping to the conclusion that something is wrong, just remind yourself that that's what this whole process is about. It's about allowing the energy to flow, and trying to get energy to flow is counterproductive to allowing energy to flow. So when you're working with another person, there's more than you involved in this process. You can't allow for someone else. You can only allow the energy to flow, and then in your knowing of it, maybe you can influence them to allow it to flow. But what's interesting is that as you're questioning, now you're not allowing. So, and you can feel that in the moment, and so then you just try harder. That's what we were teasing about. You begin affirming. Well, I'm an energy worker, and my energy is this different name of energy, and you're right, it doesn't matter what you call it, because Source is not delivering energy in categories.
Right. Exactly. At the different frequencies, though. No?
Well, but the frequency is about the resistance or not. In other words, the higher the frequency, the less the resistance. The lower the frequency, the more the resistance. And so Source is always at a very high frequency. And when you tap into it, you receive it at your ability to receive it, you see. But you're not the only participant in this. So your greatest work when you're interacting with another, first of all, you're right on something really important. You cannot be in a state of self-doubt and be of any value to anyone else.
Right.
You just can't. So you got to be tuned in. And so if we were standing in your physical shoes, before we began a process with anyone, we would recount to ourselves all of the lovely times that we are certain that energy has been flowing. And if you're not in a good state, don't try to flow it. In other words, this isn't something like a college degree that once you've got it is yours forevermore. It either is it or it isn't in the moment, you see. So the first thing we would be aware of is how we're feeling. And the better you feel, then the more value you have to someone else. But then the next thing is, where are they? Well, often they're not in that good of a place because they're dealing with some challenge that they're wanting you to help them with. So your your magic for them, and of course it's not magic, is to not focus. Don't let them help you get focused on where they are, because if they can convince you where they are, now they've muddied up your ability to help them. So the less you know about where they are, the more you can believe in the energy flowing, the better it is for them and for you see. So now, let's say that you're tuning in, you're allowing the energy to flow, and it doesn't feel like you want it to feel. Well, just stop and relax. Don't stop what you're doing, but focus for a moment and relax and acknowledge that there are more involved in this than just you, and that your role here is to softly influence their allowance. Because there's a tendency with energy workers, and it's why they quibble over, argue over what to call it. Almost all believe that they're tapping into a source of energy and that they are shining it or projecting it or asserting it, and that just like a fire hose with enough pressure, they can blow out the resistance. And it isn't that way, because the more you try, the more it binds up. And so it really is about soft and gentle allowing. So your words are things like general words. General words. The more general you are in the words that you express, the more general you are. So you want to say things like, energy is really a nice thing because it knows what to do. And I don't have absolute knowledge about what's going on with this energy. I just feel it. And I know that we don't have to figure it out because it holds the intelligence. That my work is just to allow it to flow. And I'm sort of an open vortex that it easily flows to. I'm someone who can just make energy a little more accessible to people. But it's not my job. I'm not going to thrust it into you. I'm just offering it for you to softly receive. And sometimes you receive it easily and sometimes not so easily, but it's all okay because it's always better. It always helps. It always helps no matter what.
And that's kind of where I feel that I do, is that that's kind of where my problem is that I don't feel like I feel like people that they see, they're like, oh, I'm seeing this happen and that's happening and all that. I just kind of feel like I'm just opening up and whatever's happening is happening.
Well, here's the thing about
I don't always get a visual or anything.
Here's
like
the thing about that. We've been saying for a long while, that the greatest advantage that someone else can offer to someone with resistance is something that's very soft and general. Because if you're looking specifically at specific things that are out of whack, and you are shining specific energy on those specific things that are out of whack, the belief factor in the person makes the difference. In other words, if they believe that you have the power to focus and heal them specifically, then the more specific you are, then the more they would receive the wellness that you are focusing. But if they're not there, then the more specifically you focus, the more resistant they become about it. And that's why we say the general approach is often the best approach.
It's kind of like Esther is channeling Abraham. So she's able to get this, what's the word I'm trying to think of, but tell what they're thinking. She's getting this feeling and she's able to interpret it.
But you see, here's the
and
thing.
that's what I don't have the interpretation thing.
But don't question yourself, because this is happening at an unconscious level with Esther. She's not watching the words pile up and then speaking them as they do. She's getting a block of thought which is at an unconscious level, and at an unconscious level she's finding the word equivalent. So the same thing is happening to you. You're getting a block of thought that you are translating through the energy that you're flowing. That's why this question follows so precisely on the question before, because the specifics of it don't matter. The specifics of it don't matter. This source energy is this all-knowing, all-powerful, general energy of well-being that you get to tap into at whatever level of readiness and allowingness that you are able. And don't second yourself.
That's it.
Don't try to interpret it into something more precise than it is valuable to be. You get what we're saying? In other words, if it was of value for you to precisely see something and precisely go after it, you would. But because it's of less value, it's of more value for you to know well-being. And you see, here's the best way to look at this. Every single person who is wanting an energy balancing, whether it's because their physical apparatus is out of whack, or they're emotionally out of whack, or they've, for whatever reason that they're calling for it, every single one of them has been living contrast and has identified what isn't wanted and has put into the vortex what is wanted. And because they've had that sifting process, they have a robust vortex that is summoning to them all the time. So Source is on the case. Source is on the case. Well, if Source can't buck their resistant current, why do you think you should?
Right, I see.
So what you are for them is someone who is tangible, seeable, hearable, tasteable, touchable, smellable. Here you are as someone right there, vivid, who is in alignment with Source, who is providing this gentle, general energy of well-being that doesn't challenge the specifics that they're all balled up about. You see what we're getting?
That helps so much. Yeah.
So you just be that and use words if they feel like, as they occur to you, but just know that that is the best that anyone can do for anyone. That's the best that anyone can do for anyone. When you believe in someone's well-being, you are of enormous value to them. And if you don't, stay away from them.
One more question. This question is just something I've always wondered. When you speak about when we pass, we go into bliss, and then we become Source. So is Source like the ocean? Is it like you go in, like when you want to talk with someone who passed?
No.
Is it like you just
No.
scoop up?
No.
Okay, good. It's just
No.
okay.
Source is focused in you when you're happy. Source is not a nebulousness, just waiting for something uninteresting to happen. Source, you are the leading edge of Source. This is something that we so want you to hear. You, at your best, are Source.